students, already we have completed with this chapter excretory products and their elimination, but there are certain topics which are left, so we are continuing with those topics. We'll discuss those topics so that our chapter can be completed in a proper manner. So now first of all we know about the kidney, that in kidney renal artery brings the blood, and inside the kidney when we see the longitudinal section of the kidney we find that renal artery, when enters into the kidney, it divides into many fine tubular structures called as the afferent arteriole. Each afferent arteriole brings blood to the nephron, and each afferent arteriole divides or into a many capillaries like structure, and these stuffed off capillaries form the glomerulus where the filtration process occurs. And after filtration from the glomerulus, the veins or the capillaries, they collect together. All the capillaries of the glomerulus, they collect together and come out from the glomerulus or Bowman's capsule in the form of a single tube that is called as the efferent arteriole. So here we are going to discuss about the differences between the afferent arteriole and efferent arteriole. So look over here. Afferent arteriole is what? It is fine branches of renal artery. We know that renal artery brings the blood inside the kidney. So afferent arteriole is a fine branch of renal artery which enter in each kidney and arise from the dorsal aorta. Because it is bringing the blood from the heart, so it arises from the dorsal aorta, and then it brings then from dorsal aorta, renal artery enter into the kidney and it forms the arteriole, afferent arteriole. Then we talk about the efferent arteriole. These are the fine branches of renal vein, because when the blood goes out of the kidney, the blood enters into the or joins the renal vein. So fine branches of renal vein which leave the kidney, because the blood is leaving the kidney and coming out of the kidney. So leave the kidney and join the inferior vena cava. We have discussed the circulatory system. In circulatory system, you came to know that the blood from the lower body part enters into the heart, into the right auricle through inferior vena cava, and from the upper body part through the superior vena cava. So here the kidney's blood when the blood comes out from the kidney through the renal vein, then this renal vein, it joins the heart to inferior vena cava. So we have discussed the first point. Fine branches of renal artery enter in each kidney and arise from the dorsal aorta, whereas the efferent arteriole, they are fine branches of renal vein which leave the kidney and join the inferior vena cava. Now the second point is that afferent arteriole brings the atrial blood. That means they are bringing the pure blood from the heart, atrial blood, to the renal corpuscles. Whereas efferent arteriole, they are taking the blood away from the kidney. That means it is containing the deoxygenated blood. Afferent blood is bringing the blood from the heart. That means oxygenated blood. Whereas efferent arteriole is taking the blood away from the kidney. That's why it is containing the venous blood or blood rich in carbon dioxide. Third is that its diameter is more. Diameter of afferent arteriole is more, whereas efferent arteriole has less diameter. The reason is that in afferent arteriole, blood has a more volume because of the presence of nitrogenous waste products. So that's why the volume of blood is more, and the diameter of the afferent arteriole is more. But after filtration, when the blood enters into the efferent arteriole, the volume of the blood decreases, and to maintain the blood pressure, the diameter of the efferent arteriole also becomes less or it reduces. So that's why we say that the diameter of efferent arteriole is less and diameter of afferent arteriole is more. Next is that the blood flowing in it is rich in nitrogenous waste products, because the blood is coming to the kidney for filtration and for filtration of nitrogenous waste products. So it is bringing the blood, afferent arteriole is bringing the blood which is rich in nitrogenous waste products, whereas after filtration the blood enters into the efferent arteriole. So filtration has occurred, nitrogenous waste products has been released. So this is free from nitrogenous waste products. So these are the differences between afferent arteriole and efferent arteriole. So students, now the next topic is glomerular filtration rate. This is the amount of filtrate formed by the kidneys in 1 minute. So how much filtrate is formed by the kidney in 1 minute, that is said to be the glomerular filtration rate. And in normal a healthy person, it is about 125 milliliter per minute. I told you about that in one day, near about 180 liter of filtrate is formed. Okay, so when we calculate with this, that 125 milliliter in 1 minute, then how many minutes are there in one day? That is in 24 hours. So 24 multiplied by 60, you get the answer, and then multiply by 125 milliliter. And after that, if you convert it into liters, you will get 180 liters. So this is the glomerular filtration rate, that is 125 milliliter per minute. Glomerular filtration rate, it is regulated by juxtaglomerular apparatus. I told you about the juxtaglomerular nephrons, that they helps in the reabsorption of the water in scarcity of water. Means when the supply of water is not proper, during that time active reabsorption of water is done by the juxtaglomerular apparatus or the juxtaglomerular nephron. So here fall in glomerular filtration rate. It activates when the filtration rate is decreases, that means when the normal filtrate formation decreases or there is scarcity of water, that is below 125 it goes. If glomerular filtration rate goes down or below 125 milliliter per minute, then juxtaglomerular cells, they release renin. Renin is releases which stimulate the glomerular blood flow. That means it increases the movement of the blood into the glomerulus. And when more blood enters into the glomerulus, then more filtrate is formed. So that means the glomerular filtration rate is brought back to the normal. So here is the role of juxtaglomerular cells. When there is fall in the glomerular filtration rate, when the glomerular filtration rate goes down less than 125 milliliter per minute, then juxtaglomerular cells, they release renin, and this renin acts on the glomerulus so that the maximum blood can enter into the glomerulus and the filtration rate can be increased and is brought back to the normal. Now students, here is the third topic, that is the difference between tubular reabsorption and tubular secretion. Usually we know about the tubular reabsorption, which occurs in the nephron when the filtrate is moving from proximal convoluted tubule, loop of Henle, and then distal convoluted tubule. During the movement of the filtrate from the complete renal tubule, during that time maximum filtrate is reabsorbed, and this filtrate is reabsorbed which is required by the body. So here we are going to discuss about the tubular reabsorption and tubular secretion. So first of all, we discuss over here the topic. Look over here, differences between tubular reabsorption and tubular secretion. The first point is, it involves the absorption of water and useful solutes from the glomerular filtrate into the blood. That already we know that when the blood is moving from the glomerulus, the waste enters into the Bowman's capsule, and from Bowman's capsule the filtrate moves into the renal tubule. So from that filtrate, this is the glomerular filtrate. So from that filtrate, absorption of water and useful solutes occurs. When we talk about the tubular secretion, Usually it involves the passage of waste materials from blood into the filtrate. Means over here the filtration, glomerulus is not there, but the filtrate is moving out from the blood. Okay, so here the materials, the waste materials from the blood, they enter into the filtrate or into the nephron. Next is that it occurs by back diffusion, because here backward diffusion of the substances occurs, and active transport of the materials by utilization of energy. Wherever the term active transport comes, we have to remember that active transport always involves utilization of energy. So it occurs, this tubular reabsorption, it occurs by back diffusion and active transport of energy. Next, this one, tubular secretion, it occurs only by active transport. That means with whatever the tubular secretion occurs, it involves utilization of energy. Then this tubular reabsorption, it mostly occurs in the proximal convoluted tubule PCT, whereas tubular secretion occurs in the DCT, distal convoluted tubule. Then tubular reabsorption does not occur in animals that lack glomerulus. That means tubular reabsorption is found only in those animals, those who have glomerulus in the nephron, and is absent in those animals, those who lack glomerulus. So the animals lacking glomerulus are marine fishes or saltwater fishes and desert animals. Whereas tubular secretion, this is found in animals those who are having, they lack glomerulus. They don't have glomerulus, that's why this tubular secretion facilitates the removal of the filtrate from the waste material, removal of the filtrate or the waste materials from the blood.